Hi everyone, and welcome back to Tinker Gamer Hacker Maker. Today we're actually going to be looking at the Blink Learn to Solder kit. Actually, real cool little kit. Comes in a little baggie, and I picked it up because I wanted to start, as I start working on some of these microcontroller projects. I'm not the greatest at soldering, and I haven't done it in a long time, so I figured, hey, let's start with the Learn to Solder kit. So let's go ahead and do that together. So first things first, when you get the kit, it comes with the little cards and it comes with the parts, but it does not come with instructions. And it tells you that in order to get the instructions, go ahead and download them off the website or get them off the website. And what you see behind me are these instructions. And we'll go ahead and follow along in the instructions and do the kit and have a good time. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and change our view. Okay, so this is the board that you get with the Blink kit. And we're going to do a couple things first. So we're going to go kind of just scroll down here, bottom right, you'll see it gives us, hey, what are the parts? We need to have at least a soldering iron, some solder, flush cutters, or snips, and some safety glasses. I am wearing glasses, so these will count as my safety glasses. And if you want a couple of things like a solder sucker and helping hands, you can. It then kind of goes through like techniques, how to do it, holding the tip of the soldering iron to the lead and the pad, and then filling it in. And then what does a good solder look like? And it kind of gives you that, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll pause right here at the resistors section, and let's go ahead and start prepping our soldering iron. So my soldering iron is already heated up. Pull a little solder out of the tube I got from my kit here, and we actually just need to tin the tip of the soldering iron. And I just kind of put a coating on it. Okay. I believe this one came pre-tinned, but even so. Alright. Pull a little more solder out of the end here. And put my iron back in its stand real quick. So the first part of this is the resistors. So it comes with the 3 resistors. And we're going to go ahead and set these resistors up. Instead of one at a time, we'll go ahead and do them all 3 at once. And there's a cool little trick you can do here. I was reading a couple blog posts on it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty nifty. So the nice thing about resistors, and I'm not going to get into how to read them, there's probably enough guides on that, is that you can't put them in backwards. It's not really possible to put them backwards. So I'm going to bend my leads, fit them in, right, pull them through, okay, and then while I'm underneath, I'm going to pull them apart. So, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you can see, hey, I now kind of just made a tight connection here so that it doesn't fall out, right? We're not trying to solder something that's wiggling around, and you can see it's not wiggling around now, at least not much. It'll hold it enough to solder. So I'm going to do that for the other 2 resistors as well. Okay, slip that one in, going to pull that down and then spread them apart. And then we're going to do the same here. Alright. Pull that in as far as possible, and then I'm going to spread them apart. Okay, so now I have all 3 resistors put in place. Now let's go ahead and attempt to solder these. So I'm actually going to push these this way a little bit. So now that we're in focus, got my leads moved a little bit. I'm going to place the tip of the soldering iron right at the point of contact for the two pieces. And push in. Cool! Well, that was neat. So, putting the soldering iron against both the pad and the contact, and then pushing the piece in. Alright, so I'll put my soldering iron down for just a second. It looks like I got an okay solder. So let's go ahead and take our flush cutters and clip. Oh, one went flying. I'm going to grab the end here, try so it doesn't fly away. Alright. And that looks like we got some good soldered leads. That was pretty straightforward, right? You know, not too bad for someone who hasn't done it in forever. Okay. And the things I used to solder were just like big and bulky, so this little fine soldering here is real different to me. Alright, so touch it there, push it in. Alright. Touch it there. Oops. And I didn't quite get it on that one, so there we go. Alright. That flowed in. And I was going to take this nice and slow. Alright, we don't want to have an accident or burn yourself or anything. Be very cognizant of your surroundings. These irons do get very hot. I mean, this thing's what, 400 degrees. Okay. Alright, that's the resistors almost down. Well, let's go ahead and try this last one here. And then we'll move on to the next step. Touch the end. Alright. And let's just make sure I can... Cool. And actually this is very helpful having the camera here because I can see my soldering at a better angle. I want to get into some of these tight spots. Alright. So I'm going to hold on to my lead here and clip this. Alright. Cool. Not too shabby. We'll see how this one is. This looks a little wonky. It looks like it has a piece of the lead still sticking out. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my document. So we did step one. We soldered in the resistors. Cool. And yes, I know the text is upside down for you here, but if you look on the other side of the board, you know, it's just how it's printed. Well, that's cool. So these look like they're in place. Pretty good. Awesome. Alright. So let's go sit here for a second. So now, we did the resistors. We got them in. We clipped them. Oh, told us to snip them as part 2. Okay. And now it's asking us to solder in the battery holder. And to make sure not to put the battery in. Well, that's just, you know, good sense, right? Alright, so what direction is this battery holder going in? Okay, looks like the opening is going to face the bottom part of the board. Or not, so it's going to face that direction. So, I'm going to put that there and there. Just kind of gently push that in. Now this doesn't look like it holds fast very well, so I'm going to flip this over. And see, yeah, see how it's kind of just not staying in the holes. So this one's a little more awkward. So how should we solve this? I'm going to turn this over. And honestly, probably I could do this on a flat surface and that would keep it on, because I am using a stand. So give me a second. We're going to swap out sand for a second. Go to the flat surface. Okay, and now all four. Yeah, see what I don't like about this. Can I bend the pins a little bit? Yeah, so now when I lift it up, it comes right out. So what I don't like about this is exactly that. It doesn't stay in. I really like these little stands to kind of help you out. I mean, you can do this on a table, but like, see, my table is going to move around. I'm trying to push the soldering iron on, and it's going to slide all over around. Not that it's a bad design. Just having the right tools. So I'm actually going to take a little post-it note piece I have here, so I don't have to worry about the stickiness of tape. And treat it like painter's tape, right? Just going to come in here and kind of just put that so it's held in place a little bit. Alright, let's see, will that work? Yeah. Let's get this stand back. Cool. Alright. Okay, so we can see my 4 leads kind of sticking out now. I have a piece of just a little bit of tack. I've heard using like poster tack also is really good for this. I'm gonna remember that for next time. Alright. So again, place against the pad. Let that flow on. Cool. And then I'm gonna do one on the opposite side. Awesome. This is actually coming out better, much than I thought. I'm going to just take this little piece of tacky off. And now we're going to do the other 2 parts of this one. It's 1. I'm trying to make sure I don't accidentally bridge the connections. And 2. Cool. Okay. So, that was the battery holder. Now we're going to do the switches. So, coming down here, step 4, switches. Now, the funny thing is about these switches, even though there's 4 prongs, only 2 of the connectors actually bridge. The other 2 kind of pass through. This kit is only set up so you can put the switches in one way, and either way you put them in is fine. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and snap in this first, and you have to use a little pressure. See, did I get it in? No, I did not get it in. I want you to use a little bit of pressure to get it in there, and it is fighting me a little bit. So let's try that. Again. There we go. Alright, so I got 1 snapped in. And I'm just going to snap in all 3 because that way I don't have to constantly turn it over. You can do these one at a time. And just remember to slow down, take your time. I mean, we're just happy little circuit boards. And of course, don't put your finger on the other side and push through because it's like poking yourself with a needle. Just did that. I forgot. Okay. And now, let's go ahead and get that focused back in. Okay, now you can see the leads for the switches in place. Alright. And we're going to solder them all. Okay. I'll start on the ones closest to me. I'll go from there. Alright. Of course, being very careful. I don't want to hit my stand here because this is pretty close to the edge of my stand. Touch the contact in the pad, push, and there you go. Just need enough to get on there. Create a little pull. Again, push, let it flow. Awesome. So this is actually a pretty fun little learn to solder kit. I'm hoping it works. And now that one looked like it beaded up, but I could be wrong. Okay. And that one, I'm just gonna melt that real quick. That just looks like it didn't solder right, but I could be wrong. We'll know in a second. Maybe put too much solder. And I'm just going to keep going through one at a time. Cool. Alright, pull a little bit more solder out of my little container here. Now I am using the solder that came with my soldering iron. It came with a little electronics kit I got. However, I did buy a spool of lead-free solder that kind of maybe flows a little bit differently. I'll find out when I go to do that. And I'll probably do a video when I go to kind of wire up my Arduino Pico. Okay, alright, switches are in place. Again, watch your fingers. Ouch. LEDs. Now, LEDs are actually something you can put in backwards. You'll notice you'll have a long lead and a short lead. And according to these directions, let's see. The long leg is the plus, and the plus will go into the... Is it the square? I must have missed it. You probably saw it already and I didn't. The long lead must go through the square hole. Okay, so I'm going to flip this back over. Awesome, here's our blink. And then I have my long lead. I'm going to start with the red one. We're going to do red and 1. So my long lead is going to go in the square hole. That's our positive end. And then, of course, the circle is the negative. And it just kind of like what we did with the resistors, because now that we've kind of got these put into the right way, I'm going to hold this down, and I'm going to bend these legs slightly, because I don't want them to fall out, right? So now it's kind of somewhat secure in place. I'm going to put green in the middle. Oops. Again, making sure my long lead goes into the square hole. Awesome. Come on. Hold this down, pull that this way, push that one that way. I'll turn this other one over so you can see again. Long lead into the square hole. And again, you don't need a stand to do any of this. This is really just for display purposes. So my longer lead is coming out of the square hole. I'm going to tip this to the left. Tip that to my right. And now you can see that these are kind of held in place now without having to worry about, you know, messing with them or trying to solder them. Again, want to make this as easy as possible for you. Okay. So, I'll start with the ones closest to me. I'm going to try to be very careful. We don't want to put too much solder where we bridge the connections. And that's what we kind of just want to avoid. We don't want to just accidentally connect the two, because then it's not going to work, right? And I'll do the same over here. And then over here. Just keep going. You don't want to keep your soldering iron on the board too long, because of course you don't want to burn it. Cool. Alright, so we soldered the leads. And it looks like we're done. Okay, but I'm going to clip these ends first, right? We want to clip the ends. Oh, that one's really close to that one. So I'm going to if I can get in there and really use the flush cut part of it. And clip a little bit more off of that one. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to pick these up later. Kind of flying all over the place. Oh, and hit the ceiling. Hey, I held on to that one. Wasn't that smart? Okay. So, it's now put together. But now, does it work? Right? I'm going to actually move this to the top piece here so we can see it a little better. I'm going to take it out. Let's go ahead and... There we go. Alright. So, now we're going to go ahead and put our battery in that came with it. So, fingers crossed that I did an okay job soldering here. So I'm going to slide the battery in. Okay, moment of truth. Blue light, what do you think? Yay or nay? Ah, that worked. Green light? Yay or nay? Green light worked. Red light? Yes. Can we do all three? Yes, we can. Awesome. Cool. So, this now is the blink. I'll move my stand out of the way. You know, move these anything conductive on the bottom here just because, hey, we got stuff. So, yeah, so this is the Learn to Solder kit from learntosolderkit.com. This is open source hardware. Ah, come on. Yeah, cool. And no, I am not sponsored. This is just a kit I got because I wanted to improve my soldering skills. I don't think I did too bad. I can probably, you know, use a bit more practice. But not bad. And then there it is. So, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Awesome. I'm gonna let my kids play with this. They're gonna think it's neat. So you can just slide the battery back out. Oh, that is so cool. Awesome. So, thank you so much for joining me on doing this Learn to Solder project. This was actually a lot of fun. I actually very much enjoyed this, and it's just, look at that. It's just so cool. I made this. Or at least I soldered this. But still, that's pretty cool. I'm proud of that. You know, this was a fun little thing to get. So these little Learn to Solder kits, and there's multiple kinds out there. They're just good practice, right? And they're fun little toys. So I've seen some in the shape of bugs, and this one's just a little, the blink lights. So there's multiple versions of it out there. You know, search on an electronic site. There are many different kinds out there. And even on just kind of your regular shopping on Amazon, they have them. In fact, that's where I got this one. And yeah, that was fun. Alright, so, as always, thank you for joining me on putting together my Learn to Solder kit. And I'll catch you next time on Tinker Gamer Hacker Maker. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome content.